Alright, so I'm going to do a little tale just of, how I got into tarot reading and divination and the craft and all that good stuff. Yeah, just to give you guys a little bit of an insight to who I am. I'm calling this the evolution of an Aries Tarot reading. I might change that title to more about fire signs. That's a big thing that I've worked with, most of my life. I'm a Aries sun, a Leo rising, and a Sagittarian moon. So I am all fire signs, fixed, muted, and cardinal. I've got them all. And yeah, so if I have a bit of a sharp tongue with my readings and I seem like I'm saying things that are heartless, that is not how it's meant to be at all. I'm the kind of person that I like to know what's coming at me. So my readings are for people who also like to know what's coming at them. I'm not here to pander to people who are scared of change and scared of hard times. We are all going to face them. How you face them is up to you, and my theory on that has always been if you know what's coming, it is a little bit easier to brace for impact, as some would say. And yeah, so let's see. How did I start reading? I guess you could say I started at about 7. I stole my grandmother's Yahtzee dice, and I used to ask them questions, and depending on how many was over 5 and how many was under 5 would be my yes or no answers. So that's how I started. When I was 13 in 1998, 97, 98, my mother gave me my first tarot deck. This basic Rider-Waite came in a box like this, if you guys are interested in what card these are. And just a little book, and that's all I had for a few years there. I moved a lot, so I ended up losing those cards pretty quickly. I never really read for anybody else. Still very much a taboo thing in the late 90s, and I was kind of a loner. You'd find me hiding in the back of libraries and stuff like that. So I got that first deck at about 13, and I played with them. I learned them a bit. When I was an older teenager, I started just for fun when hanging out and partying with my friends, reading divination with regular playing cards, like the ones that I've been showing on my other videos, just a bicycle deck. I mean, you don't have to do the fancy cards like I got. You can use just regular old playing cards, and you can do tarot readings with those as well. And I used to do it just for fun. So if my definitions are a little bit off from everybody else's, I started reading before the internet. And I definitely started reading before everybody had a computer in their pocket and was able to just check on whether my interpretations were the classic interpretations of cards and whatnot. And that's just not how I roll. I'm very much a fire sign. I'm very much off the cuff. I just read what comes to me. And yeah, so I did that. In my late teens, I would do it in the back of clubs and bars, whatever. We'd sneak outside, and, when you wanted to get away from something quiet just to make conversation, we would either play cards or I would do readings with them just for, shits and giggles with my friends. And yeah, it was it was definitely interesting. It was definitely an interesting time. When I was 19, I moved to South Carolina. And a couple years after I moved down here, oh no, not even a couple of years, probably a couple of months, my aunt moved down here. And I had always known she read tarot. My mother read tarot as well. So that's why I got a deck at 13. But it wasn't until I was 19, 20 that I learned both my mother and my aunt were also witches, which was something that I was not closeted about, but we didn't really speak openly about. I had already had my own little grimoires going like that, and pretty much that's what I was slinking around the back of libraries reading, and, you know, learning all about astrology signs, and mostly my own, and about crafting spells and how to craft and charge items and all that other good stuff. So I found out they were witches, and we started doing tarot readings for each other, and then we decided to start a small family coven. Since we were all together, we had previously lived all up and down the East Coast, and this was the first time we were all in one spot that we could do this. So we started that, and then somewhere along the lines, I started a group called the Coven the Silver Cord on Facebook with my aunt and my mother, and we decided to just kind of share what our knowledge of the craft and magic and forces and things of that nature. My aunt is the astrologer of the family. She's the one who helps me get all my astrological information and stuff like that. So we started sharing all that online with people, and it's grown. We just passed our 1 year mark of running that. You know, our group is over 1,000 people already, and you guys are free to come, and, you know, it's on Facebook, so the Coven the Silver Cord. You can also follow me on Facebook. I'm just all under my name. I'm totally copying a friend with that, but I figured it was easier. I've already been doing everything under this name, so I might as well just continue to keep everything titled as such. So, yeah, pretty much anything under the Coven the Silver Cord or Celeste Draco you can find on Facebook. I don't really hide much anymore. So yeah, so I got my Goddess deck at 19. And we read for a couple of years at that, but then life got in the way. I had kids. I mean, not only did I have kids, but I also got married. It was not a good match. Yeah, I stayed far too long someplace where I shouldn't have, with somebody I shouldn't have. And it should have just, I didn't want to read my cards at that point. So for most of my mid to late 20s, I didn't mess with my cards at all. Unless somebody came over, a friend or whatever, specifically asking for some divination, I did not pull it out, because I didn't want to ask any questions. I knew what my answers were, and I just didn't want to listen to it at the time. So about 30 is when I picked them back up. So that was about 5 years ago now. I picked them back up and I started reading again more frequently for myself and for others. I divorced my ex-husband. I ended up moving in and marrying my best friend from when I was 19. You hit a point in your life where you realize there's one person you can't live without. And once you break down that one barrier, I mean, everything just came into play. And it was so freeing. The star. It was so freeing to be with somebody who just really let me and was able to nurture me in a way that I could really expand myself. So, yeah, so he helped me do that. My husband is amazing. Yeah, so I started doing the Coven the Silver Cord stuff online about 2 years ago. So we started doing cards and coffee and reading for our friends within our little coven group, and things have grown since then. And I saw a friend start doing his tarot reading on YouTube, and I was like, that's, it blew me away. Like, I would have never in a million years thought about, you know, doing that on YouTube, but then it made so much sense. It's so much easier to show the cards. It's so much easier to talk. It's weird. It is weird talking with nobody here. That's still taking some getting used to, but I am getting better at that, I hope. And so, yeah, so that's the story of how I started divination and how I've accumulated my cards over the years. Once I really opened up and started reading, multiple decks started coming to me. Just I don't know, you know, just random people and friends and whatever, since I was so open. I love this deck too. It's a past life oracle deck here. And, you know, I was just really supported. And it was so weird because I had spent so much of my life just not being supported when it came to things like this. I was just written off as being silly and nobody believed in it. It was just fun. So it was nice to join into a community that understood it on the levels that I understood it. How I know what to say? I'll say that I had an out-of-body experience when I was very young. I was very, very sick, and I remember floating on the ceiling of my bedroom, looking down on the bunk bed with my sister on the top bunk and me on the bottom bunk. I was really, really sick. And that was my first out-of-body experience, and I had always seen things, figures in mists and strange glowing eyes and stuff like that. I've always been able just to kind of see those things, and I had learned to tune them out through the years. When I was about 14, I was playing with a Ouija board, and I bonded with a spirit, celestial, angel, whatever you want to call, that referred to himself as Braille. Now, at the time, I did not correspond it with the term Gabriel, which my theory on angels is a little bit different than most. I consider them more of celestial beings. When someone says they know Gabriel, I really don't think of them as knowing the one original celestial and angel named Gabriel, but rather a fractioned piece, kind of like the sons of Gabriel, I guess you can say. You know, that's how everything, like human beings went from being a couple 100,000 in population to 6 billion people in population. I believe the Celestials have done the same, and certain bloodlines and certain, you know, carry the traits. So through the years, I have become very attached to the elemental energies, and I just refer to them by their angel names. Now, their presence for me is, it's not so much that I hear them, but I feel them. It's a emotion that'll wash over me, which is why sometimes I'll kind of struggle for the words, and it's because I'm feeling a sensation that I'm trying to describe. You know, I don't get flashes of images. I have heard, not with my ears, but, you know, solid messages coming through at times. I am sensitive to spirits, but I do not do mediumships. I opened myself up for that once. I will never do it again. Human spirits, when they're passed, have no sense of time or decency, and they are very selfish, and they're very much still wrapped up in their life shit. And yeah, they're not fun to deal with for me. I don't like them. I don't like it, so I kind of blocked myself out from that. If they want to talk to me, they can contact me through the Celestials, and then I'll pass on the messages from there, but I do not allow them to contact me directly anymore. That's been seeing spirits and stuff has been a big thing in my life. I've seen, especially down here in the South, it's such an old place that you get all kinds of weird energy. I've seen, my ex-husband, I saw his uncle before I even knew about his uncle. I saw his uncle. And then it wasn't until later when I met his grandfather that I saw a picture of him in the house that I was like, oh my God, do you remember when I woke you up screaming there was a man in the room and there was nobody there? Yeah, that was the guy that was in the room. So, just some more fun-filled stories of divination and witchery and what that can lead to when you open your mind to stuff like that. And yeah, I hope you guys join me on my little journey on YouTube here, and yeah, I think that was a pretty good intro. This is the Past Life Oracle deck here. I love this little deck. It's great for doing past life readings. I try not to dwell too much on past lives, you know, because you learned your lessons then. You're supposed to be moving on from that stuff. You're supposed to just take the lessons learned then and just keep moving forward. But I have done these. Yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say for right now. And yeah, the evolution of an Aries Tarot Reader will just be me probably going a little bit more into different decks that I use, different divination that I use, and just different crazy stories about how all this came to this point. Alright guys, if you were scared of your Wheel of the Year reading, please don't be. I focus on the bad stuff. I do that on purpose because that's what we struggle to face. I'm not really one to give fluffy bunny readings. I'm not. I'm more of a kind of person, I like to know what's coming at me and I like to brace for impact. So I understand that not everybody's going to do that. I am not. So many readers are Aquarius readers and they're very descriptive and artsy, and they can kind of shine more hopeful light on things. I'm trying my best to be a little bit more gentle with my readings. It's hard when there's nobody here to judge their reactions to what I'm saying, so that I know when I've, you know, scared you. I understand Geminis were terrified of their Wheel of the Year reading. Don't be scared of that, guys. Everybody's going to go through something every year, every day. You can't get through a single day without something happening. So don't be afraid of stuff like that. That's just, it doesn't help you at all, you know? So I will catch you guys on the January monthly readings. All right?